Oh, where to begin? These journal entries, these vlogs, um, are good and soothing in a sense. I get to speak so much, and writing in some sense, I don't know. I don't have necessarily the patience for it right now, or to even type. So this is also an effort to connect, to share, and to let you know that, hey, fucking human too. And boy, do I got some shit. So, I've been alluding here and there since my comeback to Instagram about a program. And I am still in the midst of finalizing said program. It gives me butterflies, like, all over. I'm excited for it. I'm a little nervous. I'm stressed, a good stress in some senses. And so, to talk about it, my original thought for this program, my original idea was to do a workout series, like based off of the level 1 material of Steel Mace Flow. And, just looking at it and realizing the short amount of time I'd have to film, and, doing even just 10 videos, even if they were like 15 minutes long, that's a lot on a body, and I wanted to do 45-minute full body workouts with the fucking mace. Like, and we're going to be filming up in Washington, myself and Leo, in the next week. And we're up there for like 3 or 4 days. No, just not the time frame. Like, that's something for a later date that needs to be planned and thought out carefully, and, other people brought in, and so on and so forth. So, Leo kept encouraging me and kept, bringing the idea back of, he was like, people want to flow like you. They want to see you, and they want that gypsy magic type of thing. And I guess what I've come to realize through this process is, when it comes to Steel Mace Flow, I always say yes. I know that word, always. I say yes, but I do. I take on the projects. I constantly do more, and I'm looking to better the education and the experience for the user and my team, and just being a good leader. And so that, in a sense, takes away from my personal practice, and also my room for educating myself and practicing coaching. And so when faced with this task to dive deep into myself, into my flows, I've had to slow it down and pause it, and in a sense be faced with some facts of, hey, your coaching practice needs a little dedication, needs a little bit more. And I've taken a lot of steps to make that happen. Number one, really letting Steel Mace flow into more aspects of my life, and letting it take the forefront of what's important to me most, and what in business, in health, and in life, it's really important to me. And it's important for me to continue to evolve, and that's not just sitting behind a keyboard and writing and typing. I have been blessed to take on this role, to run the behind the scenes of websites, and scheduling workshops, and reaching out to students, and sending certifications and emails, and then taking on the Mace Dojo. The list goes on and on, all while still trying to promote myself as a coach, be an artist, run a small massage business, teach classes in person, take on clients. Like, it's a fucking shit ton of shit. And it makes me happy. But it's like a little bit of a tornado. So sorting out through things, realizing what I wanted to let go of, and what I really wanted to focus on, or what was rather the most purposeful thing to focus on, and what has given back to me the most. Well, in some senses, the movement and massage has given back to me the most, but at now looking at it, having a few years under my belt of experience, and recognizing what gives me passion and what feeds back to me and what is the best for longevity wise is the online business, Steel Mace Flow, and continuing to put out that content and teach. I mean, I can teach from my living room, if I wanted to, 10 students in a day. I mean, that's a lot of hours. Maybe 7. Got to give myself a little lunch break. But, with massage, like, there's so much more to that. There's either going to someone's place, having them come to your place, or going to an office. There's all the supplies, the setup, the time, the energy spent, and so on and so forth. And I'm not saying that I don't spend energy on coaching, but the level of coaching where I'm getting myself to is to be able to just sit there and verbally cue and coach you through movements to where I really don't have to pick up a mace. I'm that good with the verbiage that it's like speaking a yoga sequence, and just being able to coach to things in a specific way to where, even if you're like locking out one knee or your hip is twisted, I can fix that for you with my cues. And so slightly lost my train of thought, but we'll just kind of veer off this way. And so speaking to that dedication and so on, that has been lacking because of all the things I've said yes to. And so prioritizing things. Like, massage is great, and I love it, and it serves me so well, and it gives me a deeper understanding of the body and connection to my clients. And I can understand what's going on with somebody moving with a mace better and know how to fix things on them or know how to correct things properly, because I know what tissue feels like, and I know what it feels like to move through the tissue with a mace and how it works. So that is very valuable, and that will continue to grow and deepen. Massage will lessen, because I had a conversation with one of my coaches, one of my teammates, Zach. And, Zach and I were talking some business shop, because he's an established business owner. He has a brick and mortar gym. And in a sense, the Mace Dojo is a gym. It's an online Steel Mace gym. Yeah, there's some aspects to it that we don't have to worry about, but in a business structure of like scheduling classes and gaining students and so on, it's essentially the same. So I was picking his brain. I chose to, instead of just trying to like research and figure things out on my own or say, hey, this is best, like, humble myself a little bit and don't worry so much about, not knowing everything. You don't know what you don't know, and that's okay. And no one's going to judge you for that, especially if you're communicating and taking the information that they do give you and putting it to use, which is what I'm doing. So reaching out to also a Steel Mace business owner. Let me tell you, y'all, like, I've taken a lot of mindset programs and business programs and shit, and has it all been beneficial? Yeah. Has it all been beneficial right away? No. It was a lot of information right from the get-go, and for me, it just took some time to settle and sit in and interweave itself to where it was like, okay, well, now coming back to this, this piece makes sense and I know how to use that. But also, like, I think it's really, really beneficial to speak to somebody that's in your niche, like, who has, like, for Steel Mace, I mean, you market differently, Steel Mace Flow specifically, than you would for, like a regular barbell class or continuing education for massage, or however you want to look at it. I mean, because this is a deeper practice, it's has a lot of, metaphysical to it, and how you run those classes and how everything gets set up it can be somewhat different. And so with this very specific movement practice niche, I decided to reach out to somebody that had an established brick and mortar fucking Steel Mace gym. Like, that's all Zach pretty much teaches over there, and that's so fucking dope. And he's successful at it, and he's crushing it and killing it, and he does online stuff, and he does clubs. So, and he's on my team, and I trust him, and he's my brother, and I know he supports me. And so we're having this conversation about, Steel Mace Flow and Mace Dojo, and my roles in them, and figuring out, like, we're talking pay scales and so on, and which I'm like surprised. Things are starting to click now about math and business that just used to make my brain fucking melt, and I get excited to have these little tedious conversations, especially with someone that can speak my language and I'm like comfortable with, so that's awesome. But so what am I, a business owner or self-employed? Looking at those two, because I do work for myself, and so what do I want to be? So self-employed, you're doing the work, you're constantly on the go, doing the physical aspects of everything. And then being the business owner, you take a step back, like you oversee for sure, and you take a cut of the money, but you have people that are working for you. You have a team. And in my mind, it's a slightly half and half, because I want to stay coaching, but that's by choice, and that's by, extra little hobby, and to keep myself involved, and because I do love to coach. But really, in the grand scheme of things, I want to be a business owner, and I consider myself right now like a COO, so the Chief Operating Officer. So I'm the bad bitch, the boss babe queen, that runs the show. And I mean, I have a hand in everything, and if I don't, I will. Sometimes I feel like such a nosy busybody. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Do you have any projects? What's going on? And let's make some projects, and I'm involved. I'll do this, and and so I had to take a step back and really say, hey, that's not the most ideal way for you to approach overseeing everything. Like, you do have to delegate some of these more remedial tasks down the line, and that helps you, cover your end and then send information up the line to CEO, which is Leo. And eventually where I want to gravitate would be more of a CEO role. And then, maybe half of a CEO, I don't know. And then, maybe have an assistant or something, and then just have it, managers in place and teams. And I have this vision, and it's finally starting to get bigger in the scheme of the details of it, how I'm going to get there. And, so toggling back to my own series and this dedication needed for this, and what does this even look like? Number one, I get to recognize how much of a freaking artist I am, and how much of a pain in the fucking ass that can be. There's these, like writer's block totally happens in flow. Like, I got flow block. I'm in the flux with it, and it's definitely something that I guess that's why I've shied away from teaching a lot of my own movements and things, is because in order to do that, number one, I'd have to be forced to stop and break it down and face the fact that I needed to educate myself deeper in the verbiage, and just be a little more mindful and slow down of how I break things down, and be confident in the fact that I can do that. And it's okay if I fuck up a little bit, like, that's how I get better, and find the words that make sense for me and make sense to my client or my student in front of me. And then the other thing was, for me to create, is a very intimate process, just like it is for everyone, but I can't force that. When I'm in flow, it's just there, or it's not. It's gotten right. I don't know. Sometimes I just go through these spells where it gets difficult to just drop into it. Say, yes, I call upon it. I call myself into flow state. So it's like, I can't just sit myself down and say, I'm going to create something right now. Or I can, but it's like, when I'm talking about a gypsy series, and what Leo's speaking to isn't just like, okay, yep, let's put this move in, this move in, this move, that. No, it's, for me, it's so much more than that. This is the deepest and brightest expression of myself, is going into this flow state, and to share it is so fucking intimate. It's a big freaking deal to me. You know what? We're going to have to part 1 and part 2 this. I'm going to stop this video, and you're going to have to tune in and watch for part 2, just in case, because I don't want to lose this one. This is good.